we need to be thankful that he has as big of a lead as he has, because this
Big
could be a
time.
bigger deal than it actually
It'd
is.
be a huge
I don't
deal.
want it to get to that point where it's a bigger deal than it is. And it potentially could be. I'm sure this rule will get changed now, but there's going to be a time when it's too late.
JB and AC, the energy was awesome. Those two are just like really finding their groove.
4 straight overall wins.
$100,000. Adam Cianciarulla. Checkered flag and Justin Brayton.
Has won the 2019 Moto Pro Championship.
He's gonna do it to become the oldest winner in the history of Supercross.
Hello and welcome back to the AC and JB show. JB, I'm feeling refreshed. Our first off week since we started doing the podcast. You know, I was on the golf course. Enjoyed it, but it was also a bit weird.
It was a little bit weird, and I got to be honest, I almost text our group chat that we have going for the podcast that, hey, let's just do another show. I felt a little bit guilty. I almost text that probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 different times, but glad we took the week off, feeling rejuvenated, even though it's so fun. Look, each and every week we talk about the race review and just kind of have a little banter. We're obviously fans of the sport, but I had a little vacation. The wife and I just took ourselves down to the beach. No kids.
Wow.
3 nights, 4 days. We didn't know what to do.
Where'd you drop the kids off? Club MX?
Club camp all weekend. Beckham get to grinding. Actually, it was Beckham's 8th birthday a couple weeks ago before or during the break. And he got a little 65. So we're learning the clutch. So he does need camp. He needs club camp for a few weeks to learn the clutch, because it's not been great, AC. It's not been great. I may need to have you fly in.
Yeah, dude. Ship him out here. Ship him out here. I'll rent Glen Helen for the week, and we'll just get to it. It's funny. I actually remember I learned to shift when I was making that move from 50s to 65s. I remember we lived on 10 acres for like a year or two. And you probably grew up racing on this thing. It was like a XR 70 or something that you basically it had a clutch and gears, but you couldn't stall it for whatever reason. I remember learning on that thing, speaking of that, kind of that move from the 50s to the 65s. But for a racer, these couple weekends off, it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think that this is the first time for the guys racing, if you're on a 450, that you had 2 weekends off, since January, which it feels like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
But I really can't stress enough. Like how difficult it is for those guys in the premier class to kind of just stay on it throughout the course of the season. And you said it, those 2 weekends off fly by. And I know for me personally, JB, I love doing PR. Love being there for the kids, the fans. I really did. But I got to be honest with you, as a racer, these 2 weekends off, the worst thing is I would get a call from Cowie and they'd be like, hey, we need you at Loretta's for a few days. And like I said, love the kids, love the fans, dude. But that was the one time a year where I'm like, dude, just let me sit on my couch.
Well, it's just travel, right? I'm sure if you could snap your fingers and be at Loretta's and do your thing, you're great at that. I mean, that your skill level is beyond most riders ever in the history of the sport as far as the PR side. But I can relate. It's just the travel, man, driving to the airport, going through security, waiting to boarding the plane, waiting to take off, all that. If you could eliminate that, which there's no way to other than flying private, which shout out Hayden Deegan, he's been flying private a lot. Well done. It's a lot of money though.
A lot.
Other than that, that's the biggest thing is the roller coaster of travel. Once you're there, we all loved it. I loved racing. I loved doing any sort of PR. I loved being around everybody on the team. It's like their second family, But it's just, man, the travel it just grinds, man. It just grinds week after week after week. And it's nice to have a couple weeks just to not drive to the airport.
And I think another thing that's nice about the end of the season, especially for the premier class guys, is, you get to a point in the year, and it's earlier in the year for some, just depending on where you're at in your career. But once you get about halfway through outdoors, you can start to back the volume down quite a bit in terms of training. I mean, it really is kind of like as you do little things for maintenance, a lot of like low heart rate, kind of longer bike rides, stuff like that. But in terms of high intensity training during the week, JB, I think over the years we've seen guys, and I know I've done this, and I'm sure you have done this. If you keep doing your normal routine that, say, you were doing in January, February, March, you start to kind of go this way. Yeah. So that was cool for me about the end of the season, was like you'd still have a big moto day on Tuesday, go out there, do a couple motos, work on some things. But for the most part, you're getting probably an extra day and a half kind of to yourself during the week. So it's kind of always look forward to the end of the season too, because it also, like, I was able to get my first outdoor win at Budds Creek, I think in 2017. And I feel like, and we'll get to this because Hunter Lawrence just got his first win, but I feel like if you really stay engaged, which all the guys are trying to do, but I feel like it's a great time to get your first win, or to, if you've had a bad year, kind of turn it around, because these are the times, even for the 250 guys, it's starting to get to that point in the year where it's hard. It's hard to bring that same intensity and focus to the race every Saturday.
Yeah, and everybody's starting to settle into their position. Like, you look at a guy like Justin Cooper, he's just kind of slotted in 3 to 5. That's just his spot. Obviously, Jett's the guy winning. Tomac's kind of slotted into his spot. Hunter's kind of the second best guy. Chase is just coming back, so he obviously won a couple weeks ago. But yeah, it's interesting because I took advantage of late in the year. My only moto win was the last moto of the year in 2009. And it was simply because Chad Reed had already won the title. Andrew Short was, I think he just had a bad week. And Ivan Tedesco, guys like that were just kind of cruising it in. But the one question I have for you, AC, I never did the playoffs. You did the first year of them. What's interesting now is, so you go through Supercross, then you get excited for motocross, then you get halfway through motocross, and towards the end, where we are now, you can start to see the light at the end of the tunnel as far as getting a break. Well, now you don't really get a break. You get a weekend off, and then you have to ramp it back up, the intensity back up for Charlotte, for the playoffs. So now there's like 3 different waves. I never got to live that. So take us inside the helmet to you, 450 class, you're going through motocross, then you have to get ready for the playoffs again. It's like you have to train your mind to, like, no, hey, you're not done yet. Typically, the past however many years of your career, if you're going to Ironman, typically Ironman was the last one, but if you're going to Unadilla and Budds Creek, you're starting to wind down the season. You're looking forward to taking a break. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. I mean, in 2023, I was just so excited to make it through the full year. And yeah, it was the first year we had the playoffs. And I think even then, when we first introduced the playoffs, just like anything, like the first few editions of the Masters or the Super Bowl or what, it didn't mean as much because it hadn't been around. It takes time to like build credibility. And I think this is really the first year where guys are starting to, like we've seen, like we've talked about with Chase. He wanted to come back to kind of get the ball rolling, to be good in the playoffs. That's the one title he hasn't won yet. And that's straight from, one of the best riders in the world. And back to your question, I think it's difficult. Like I said, it's difficult, and this, to bring the same intensity and focus. And when you've had such a long year, and the biggest thing that you will hear everybody talk about is it's managing your emotions, and it's being able to shut it off at times. Like in these last couple weekends off, the guys that can go home and not be thinking about the 15th place they got the week before, or not stressing about the future, and all in all just stressing about the things that you can't control, those are the guys, to me, that are able to be the most consistent and that are able to perform late in the season, late in the playoffs. And I think I never quite perfected it. I don't think anybody fully does. But I really think those guys that have the most kind of emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, that kind of mental strength to know when it's time to stop thinking about it, stop worrying about it. I think those are the guys that are going to have the advantage at Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. I would always say, especially towards the end of my career when I started to learn a lot more about myself, physically, never an issue. I love training. You know, I
Yeah, you
overtrained
did.
some years, but that to me was never an issue. It was always the mental space. How much mental space do I have on Saturday when it matters most? Did I burn all my matches during the week on kids, family, stress, travel, training, motos, like whatever it was? We're all human beings. And did I save up some mental space, some mental
Yeah.
clarity, mental strength, whatever you want to call it, to have enough on Saturday when it mattered most? And that to me is what I managed the very most through my last, say through my 30s, right? Yeah, physically, I don't know. It's interesting because I never had an issue with like the burnout of overtraining or, like, I don't know. I always loved it. Like I could bury myself and recover fairly quick, but it was mentally, man. And I think sometimes riders confuse the two of like, oh,
Oh,
I'm just so wore
definitely.
out. I'm just so wore out physically. I'm tired. I don't know. Our bodies can take so much. You think about what people are doing these days, putting their bodies through. We're one of the most physically demanding, if not the most physically demanding in the world. But still, I think our bodies can handle so much. And there's so many smart trainers out there that I do think most of the time it's more mental than anything. And it's not really like, oh, you're just mentally weak. It's just it's just a lot. There's a lot on your mind. There's a lot of interviews. There's a lot of testing. There's a lot nowadays. A lot of riders have kids, and trust me, kids can take a lot out of you. So if you continue to do the training throughout the week like you did when you're 25, and now you have 2 or 3 kids, that's not going to work because I think it's more mental than physically your body could take it. But mentally, it's just man, you just bury yourself, and you just feel like when you wake up Saturday, you kind of just don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And that can make it really, really tough.
And you know this, that's a great point, JB. And I think I can kind of shine a light on this aspect from a rider side. If you see a guy that fades a lot, or a guy that looks like in interviews he doesn't want to be there, or 95% of the time, it's not because they don't care or they're not disciplined, they're not training hard. 95% of the time, it's the opposite. Like they care too much. They do too much. Like that is the most common thing that I've seen in our sport. And I've trained with some unbelievable racers in kind of all levels, 250 class, 450 class, earlier in their career, late in their career. And that is the one constant, is doing too much, like training too much, caring too much. You don't know how. I mean, I didn't really, there was times, I think, especially my last couple of years, when I didn't have like any type of championship pressure, and I knew that I really wasn't going to be battling for the win. It takes some stress off your plate for sure, but I was never great at that, at turning it off. It's like, how do you care about something more than anything in the world? I mean, you're putting your life on the line multiple days during the week, of course, on Saturday. How do you care about something that much? And then almost at times in your off times, you got to try to convince yourself that you don't really care, right? It's a really hard
Tough,
thing to
yeah.
do. But like you said, I think the guys that can compartmentalize it the most, what I've seen with my own eyes, is guys that have, for whatever reason in their life, guys that have more of an identity, like guys that are able to form an identity of themselves outside of racing, which is hard to do when most of the guys been doing it since they were 3-4 years old. But to me, those are the guys that manage their emotions the best. It's because they know whether they do good or they do bad, at the end of the day, they're still them. And that's what I've talked about on this podcast before. That was my biggest problem, was like, if I got 12th, like that little voice in my head during the week was really mean to me, really mean to me. And it's hard to chill when you're doing that. So yeah, like you said, it's so much of it is mental and emotional, even more than physical, because everybody out there, especially in the top 10, top 15, all those guys are willing to do the work, willing to eat the right things, go to bed on time, do all the things they need to do. But just about doing too much, man. Doing too much. That'll get you every time. We've all been there.
Yep. It definitely will. It's also why I think guys are going later into their career.
Yeah.
Because now the biggest thing, this is the last thing I'll say on it, is the number one thing that happened when I started to have kids was my identity shifted. I wasn't as mean to myself because I didn't have time to be mean to myself when I got home. I wasn't going to, I didn't. I just literally, I had to put the kids to bed, and you got to get them fed, and I got to be a husband and all these things, that it forced me to, when my helmet was on, I was 100% locked in. When the helmet was off at home, I was 100% locked in to that, rather than I was probably just like you. Before I had kids and before I got married, it was 24/7, man. I had all these there was this voice inside of my head that would not stop talking to me about the result, good, bad, indifferent. Remember, I think the last pod going into the break, I'll never forget. Remember, we were talking about like the last couple laps of the moto before going into break, whether you're doing good or bad. If you were doing good, you were so stoked and you were like, yes, these 2 weeks are going to be awesome. If you were doing bad, that internal voice is going to hammer you for the next 14 days.
So it was kids for you. It was kids that kind of locked you in. For me, that's what got me into reading, for one, reading books. And in a less productive sense, Call of Duty. Dude.
Oh, really? A little gaming?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever got on the Warzone grind, but the last I would say, I mean, really my whole career I remember Joey Savacci and I used to have a crew that we played Call of Duty with like every night, dude, for like 2 hours back in 2015, 2016 when Joey and I were teammates. But dude, it was Call of Duty for me, man. It's just lock in, play some Warzone, dropping in Verdansk. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but nothing like a little headshot with a sniper to really kind of ease the tension. You know what I mean? Okay, so
let's have our thing, but Ironman. Yeah. Ironman.
I got to go first here.
All right.
And I hate to start with a negative. I really do. I love Ironman. I think it's a great facility. Fans are always great in Indiana. The Supercross race, maybe it's the loudest stadium that we go to. The fans are super into it. Special place in my heart because I won a championship at Ironman. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. Love the dirt. The crew there is great.
Is this a with all due respect?
There is a but in here coming. There's a but in here coming. Dude, I do not like the track changes. I really, really don't. And I'll start with the obvious. So no, what they call it? Godzilla? Is that was that the jump going up or the jump coming down?
I'm pretty sure it was going up.
Okay, well, yeah, when we first went there, I think it was 2016. It was completely blind, and it was like a massive table single on the top of the hill.
Oh, yeah.
Then you made a right, and you came down, and there is nothing like the feeling of hitting that tabletop with that massive downside. It's the only – I was telling my girlfriend the other day we were watching the race. It's the only time I felt like my stomach drop as a ride. Like, that doesn't really happen. I doubt there's many people watching this show that don't ride for themselves, but sometimes that's a question I get asked a lot is like, you have that kind of falling feeling in your stomach? And for whatever reason, I always looked forward to Ironman for that reason, hitting that downhill tabletop. There was just something like, I don't know, like centering about hitting that jump. And yeah, they've taken that away, which I don't know. Maybe there is a good reason that I'm not thinking about. But it was an iconic part of the track, probably like the staple besides the tabletop in the center of the track. Like that was the coolest part about the track to me. So I don't know why we got rid of that. And I don't like the wood section. I really don't. Right after the start, there. They're going. The guys are so close to the trees. There's that one tree just off to the left. I mean, guys were almost about to hit their handlebar on it. So yeah, again, I hate to start with negativity. It's an unbelievable track, and it's still good, but not down for the track changes. JB, I don't know how you feel about it.
No, I totally agree. And I've scrolled through social media a little bit post Ironman, and I want to say 99% of the riders have said the exact same thing that you just said. I'll go back to 2014, rode press day at Ironman. Me and Josh Grant jumped Godzilla. I've never been so nervous to jump a jump in my life. And I'm a jumper, AC. You know, I mean, if there's a triple or quad out there, I'm in. Count me in. But that jump was so big. And over the years, they made it a little bit safer. But like you said, it was like a table, and there was just a single way out in the middle of the cornfield.
Way out there,
I think
dude.
we can make it there. And yep, here we go. Totally blind. But once you did it, it was so fun. And then you're right. You turn right, big jump down the hill. It was awesome. And I do think they made it much safer throughout the years. The uphill jump,
Yeah.
it was ended up being a lot bigger.
That was a bit crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't see any danger in that, especially the one coming up. The one coming down, I don't know. I could see where people are like, man, what if something happened, coming down that jump? And I don't know, maybe you just make it smaller, or maybe you do an S turn up the top, but you have to keep the Godzilla. That's like taking Larocco's Leap out.
Yeah, dude.
We have a lot more years with Larocco's Leap, but that's what Godzilla could have been for Ironman. Is 20 years from now, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go ride there to jump Godzilla. And then as far as the woods, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look good on TV at all.
Weird back there. It looks terrible on TV.
And then I can't imagine riding it. I mean, it just looks really dark.
It reminds me of a time I forget where I was, but lawnmower racing was on the television.
Oh boy.
And that's what it kind of reminds me of, dude. I'm like, I don't know, maybe that's like something that happens at like when you're growing up going to Loretta's area qualifier and the track floods out, and so they make a circle track in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Like it's something like, I mean, I know I'm being a little outrageous right now.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah.
At least.
The one thing that I think they would push back on is Ironman is iconic for GNCC racing.
Yeah.
So what if that's like a throwback to, hey, we're originated as a GNCC place. We're going to throw a little GNCC section at you Moto guys. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, but I don't like watching it. I don't think I would like riding it. And the other thing, I think it was Jordan Smith mentioned on one of his social accounts, was something about bringing the sawdust in. And I grew up not too far away from Ironman, call it 7 hours. And that black dirt up there is some of the best.
Dude, it is unreal.
And like, use what you have. When I raced Ironman, the dirt was incredible. There was no sawdust. There was nothing. So to me, it's like, when they first started, there wasn't a single rider that you would find in the pits that did not like Ironman. Now you can find, I don't know, 40 of them at least. So I don't know. I don't know if they can go back. It's obviously still there. The great dirt is still there. They can still do some stuff with the layout. And I don't know if Motocross of Nations has changed this, which that would bum me out if that's the reasons why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you.
Not to keep, this would be my last point, but I don't know who, for one, the track is still good. It's not a terrible racetrack. I'm kind of being a little lighthearted with this. But I don't know if the guy making the decisions with the track has like ADHD or something, but it was such a good, like, I remember 2014, 15, 16, like it was such a great track. Like you said, unbelievable dirt. And now it just seems like every year we go, the track just gets busier and busier and busier. Like that wood section, for example, I watched every lap of every moto, and in my head, I still don't really know where the track goes. Like in those first couple sections, like with the split lanes. And it's just, I prefer, and this is just a personal thing, but just a little bit more of a natural, like, type of track. And I thought that's what Ironman was had a lot of great natural characteristics with the hill there. And so it just seems like it gets busier and busier. But that being said, it's a good racetrack. It's great dirt.
Yeah.
I don't think any rider would say it was the worst track of the year or anything like that. I don't want to put too much heat on the track guys, MX Sports, all that. I'm sure there's a bunch of things that goes into it that we don't know about. But yeah, that was just my personal opinion. And you mentioned going on social media and checking out, seeing some rider feedback, some fan feedback. I could not help but notice there was somebody that's very good at dirt bike racing. It's won a lot of championships that you just really wouldn't think would be on social media between motos. But did you see that tweet?
I did.
Tomac
yeah.
to Steve Mathis, Pulpamex.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so crazy to me because Eli, and the little backstory here, we all know Eli. He does his own thing. He's pretty quiet on social, and I respect it. He's himself. I love that. For whatever reason, like his last 3 tweets, or I don't know what you call them now that it's X, but they were all like replies to tweets of mine. Like I remember I said something about a track a couple years ago, like how, because Eli and I have always been on the same page about they rip the tracks too deep and we prefer a more natural terrain. He replied something with there, and then I remember Zach Osborne replied to a tweet of mine, and he replied to Zach. Maybe we can have our producer throw it up on the screen here for you guys. And then, Eli just comes out of the woodwork in between motos, dude. Like, I'm sitting here thinking that Eli Tomac doesn't even have X downloaded on his phone. Like, surely he's a guy that goes on, like, that sits down in his office like this when he decides he wants to go on social media and, like, runs the dial-up internet setup and just goes on there and checks it out and then shuts it and, turns it off and doesn't come back for a year. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Look, we're buddies with Steve, but I'm here for it. I love it. I think it's great. And what's funny about it is Steve probably loves it too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's something that you would never expect. We were talking about it before we went on the show today. And it's like, Tom Brady is at halftime and he blows out Stephen A. Smith or something, or he's scroll. Like, it's just something you don't necessarily see a lot. And then we've talked multiple times on this show, there's hardly any time between motos. Like, there's no time to grab your phone and scroll. I mean, you're literally getting your gear off and you're trying to eat and you're trying to debrief with the team. There's zero time. So for Eli to do that, I love it. I'm here for it. But
I just wonder,
expect.
My only thing, and it's tough because anybody that's followed things that I've had to say, anybody that's followed me knows, like, I'm a huge Eli Tomac fan. Always have been, man, since I was a kid. Like, I was always watching his races on the fence at amateur races. Like, just always respected what he's about. Got a chance to be teammates with him. He was nothing but respectful, kind dude. My only thing is like, I feel like Steve hasn't really said anything too negative about Eli.
Yeah.
Like, he has said things like, he is, because kind of Eli's reached such a level now. I mean, he's had a legendary career. He's, we've talked about it a million times, but his legacy's cemented. The fans love him. There was the times where the fans weren't on his side, but now it's complete opposite. So it's hard as a journalist, as an analyst in the sport. It's really, anytime you have anything negative to say about Eli, it's probably not going to go over well. My thing is like, sure, Steve had mentioned, I think he mentioned, like, Eli is getting older. It's probably not fair to assume that he's going to be as dominant as he was a few years ago. It's a different time, whatever. I just don't think, to me, I don't think Steve said anything crazy enough to, like, really piss Eli off, to really make him mad, which maybe he wasn't mad at all. Like, maybe he was goofing around. Maybe he was laughing and smiling and being like, showing the team guys like, haha, look at this. It could be like that. it's hard to read exact, emotions over social media. But I think as riders in general, and speaking broader than just this situation, I've seen it so many times where guys that are so good, guys that have done so much in their career, they get so mad. They get so mad at something, an analyst says, or a guy from the media says, where it's like, dude, it's not personal. Like, it's their job. It's their job. And there are some guys kind of in and around our sport now that say some outrageous things, and that's different. That's different. That stuff I think deserves to be called out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Steve said anything like too crazy.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think what Steve was just simply saying is no one in the history of our sport has ever done what Eli's trying to do, is win at his age. Even though he's an all-timer, he's a legend, he's potentially on Mount Rushmore of our sport, no one has ever done that at his age. And it's like, it's almost given him a compliment, and it's given him a little bit of a way out if he didn't win the championship, or if he wasn't able to battle Jett every
Totally.
single week, that it's okay because no one has ever done it before. So yeah, I agree. It wasn't like Steve didn't necessarily deserve that. And then what he said was like, didn't really have anything to do with anything of like the press conferences and then the Redbud thing. Here's what I think is happening. It's like, when you get in a fight with my wife or your girlfriend or a friend, it's all these things. And then all of a sudden this one thing triggers it. He just hole shotted and went to 6th. He's under the weather, which he hasn't told anybody really about or made public.
He's triggered.
He's just triggered in that moment. And so if you sit there, all these things, he took it out on Steve. And
yeah, totally.
He probably, Steve and him, I don't know, maybe they've already talked, but I just think it was all these things. And then Steve was in the way. He was the one that was going to take the beating,
Yeah.
And it just happened to be on social media.
And that tweet, why I bring it up, somebody sent it, producer Cole, I think, sent it in our group chat. And I looked at it. So I went on X, I looked at the comments and stuff too. And, it's funny. There's a comment that always shows up under these things. And it's like, oh, well, Steve hasn't raced at this level, or hasn't, like he can't say anything. He's just a journalist. He's not a rider. It's like, yeah, he's a journalist, dude. Like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And I think in general, in our sport in general, because it's so small, and that's just the nature of the game. I mean, nobody really says anything bad about anybody in general. I think for the most part, when somebody's really struggling, I feel like for the most part, we kind of just ignore it. Like, we more so, I think in our sport, we more so focus on the good. And we try to really not get too caught up in the bad, because that's just, you see the same faces every week. And my thing is, and I think the Eli thing is so, like, I think it's just it's not super deep. I don't think it's going to be like Eli's not going to talk to Steve or whatever. But I've seen it so many times, like over the last 20 years in our sport, where somebody like Steve will say, they will analyze what they see the best they can. And if it's leaning on the negative side, the rider will just be like, I'm not talking to that guy anymore. Like, I'm mad at that guy, which to me, I think that is so lame. Like, I think that is so lame. And that's not this Eli situation. I'm just using this as a bridge to this point. But I think, as racers, and I said the same thing when I was racing, so I'm not a hypocrite. I think we got to do a better job of letting those people have their lane. And that's what happens. I mean, any sport you look at, like, there's always going to be a disconnect from what's really happening to, what the journalists, what the fans are seeing. And as an analyst, it's your job to do the best you can with the information that you have to draw a conclusion for people. And I think that's just how it works. And I think riders in general, I think it's super lame when they're like, they blackball the guy. Yeah. So JB, if you're a racer and you're under some scrutiny, buckle up, dude. Like, it's the nature of the game, man. It's the nature of the game. We're racing dirt bikes for a living. Deal with it.
And 9 times out of 10, or 9.8 times out of 10, it's true. And sometimes it's just hard to hear the truth.
It is hard.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like you said, a guy like Steve, or even us at times on Race Day Live, we don't have all the information on the rider. And
No.
that's fine. So we're only analyzing what we see off the information that we know. And if we don't know, like for instance, Steve didn't know Eli was sick on the weekend. If he would have had that information, maybe it's a totally different day. And that's a whole nother conversation of riders exposing injuries and riders saying they're sick and such on race day. We could make a whole podcast about that.
Well,
But
totally.
yeah, overall, most of the time it's true. And when it's not, it's the analyst or the journalist not having the proper information to do his job.
Absolutely. And that's why I love working with you, because you're an articulate guy. You pay attention to detail. You've been there. You've done it. Had a long career. It's like when you and I start bouncing things off one another, it's like I can be drawing a conclusion on, say, that situation, and then you can introduce a different perspective to me that I'm like, oh, like that makes sense. I appreciate your perspective because you've been there. And so I know you feel the same way. I do too. I really, like, my goal, even with this podcast, with Race Day Live, is to try to make those little nuances to really, like, before I draw a conclusion, I think it's like our responsibility to put a lot of it's very easy to jump to like a lazy conclusion about
100%,
something.
yeah.
Like that's kind of what our minds are rigged to do.
Mhm.
Is what's the saying, that it's easier to judge than to think. Like it's easy, we always want to label things like as quick as we can.
Yeah.
And I think it's our job to really dive in and draw an educated conclusion. But going back to what you said too about, at some point we'll actually get into the race here, but going back to what you said about disclosing injuries, sicknesses, whatever, dude, with sports betting now, with that becoming a thing, we had a big sit down before Supercross about that. Like we're only going to keep moving more and more in that direction. And I think at some point, it's going to have to be mandatory. Because what if a dude had, $2,500 on Eli Tomac to win the race this week and he didn't know he was sick? I don't know. I think there'll be some people that be like, that's just tough luck there. That's just how it is. But I do think I think that it would add a level of legitimacy, a little bit more credibility to the sport. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the line is so blurred.
Yeah.
It is absolutely so blurred because sometimes you get sick between motos. Sometimes you wake up sick. Sometimes you hurt your ankle on lap 15 of Moto 1. So, like, I believe in the NFL, is it Wednesday when you have to disclose
so.
injuries or your injury reserve list and all that? So let's just say that was for us Thursday afternoon, you have to disclose. Imagine, like, what happens in the next 24 hours or 48 hours. Like, there's a lot happening on Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon. So I just think the line is so blurry. And yeah, when did Eli get sick? Saturday morning, Friday night. I mean, if it was Tuesday at home and somebody hurt their ankle, yeah, that probably should be disclosed if it's of some sort of magnitude. But being sick, I don't know, man. The line is just so blurred. And I don't know what it's like in the NFL. Does Joe Burrow wake up sick on Sunday morning? Is that disclosed?
I have no idea.
I
think so.
Really?
I think so. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure though, but I don't know. Just something to think about going forward with the sports betting thing involved, I think. And I don't know, what's your perspective on it? I always thought that, like, I was always pretty transparent. Like I was more worried about keeping, my fans and supporters in the loop than giving the competitors like a mental advantage on me. I don't know. And there's guys like Eli or, just more, I guess, old school guys that keep it close to the chest, which I respect that too. They don't want to show any signs of weakness. I understand that. But, do you really think it's like a massive blow? Does it make you easier to beat if you disclose you're sick or you're hurt? Because to me, it's like, if I'm on top of the world, if I'm the best rider in the world, and I say I sprained my wrist the weekend before, and everybody knows I'm coming in with a bum wrist, and they pass me, say I'm Jett Lawrence, and Chase Sexton comes from the back, passes me, wins the race. If I'm Chase, I'm thinking to myself, well, I didn't beat the guy at full strength. Like it's not as big of a mental blow that way. So I don't know, kind of a double-edged sword there, JB.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Do you remember 2014 Toronto when RV got real sick?
Oh, I remember that race. Great. Thanks for bringing it up, dude.
With this,
I
oh,
popped
was
my
it not a good
shoulder
night?
out. I popped my shoulder out, got it popped in, and kept racing.
Yeah,
No,
my
you're
bad.
fine. I do remember that, though. It was crazy. He didn't even get to practice. He
Yeah, he
came
like
straight out
didn't
in the heat
practice,
race.
was in the hospital, I believe, came
Heck yeah.
back. So that night, for instance, like in my mind, I was beating him, right? But does it even matter that I beat him? Because
Yeah.
like you said, like it didn't really matter because he was, I don't know, but did that give other guys more confidence? Like James had a crazy night that night. Did he have more confidence?
14th to first.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
So I don't know. I'm with you. I'm kind of like, yeah, whatever at that point, whether you're sick or not. And then sometimes you do better when you're sick. Like it eases
Yeah.
the pressure. I've had so many nights where I'm like, man, Daytona, only win of my career. I was not deathly, but the night before, I mean, I hardly slept at all. I was late to track walk, which I'm never late to track walk. I'm
Ooh,
like I mean, you know
that's
this.
weird.
If you're not early, you're late in
Oh, yeah.
my book. And I was late to track walk because I'd like couldn't even hardly get out of bed that morning, and I win the race. I mean, anyone could go back and watch even after I win the heat race. I believe it was Jenny Taft on the podium. I'm like, man,
Out
I
of
can
breath.
hardly breathe out there. Like I'm so congested and this and that. And then I, win the main. So there's other nights or days when you're sick, it eases the pressure and you're just like, I'm just going to ride my best, and you go out there and have a fantastic day. So yeah, I don't know. I think it is either way, but in this specific instance, if we knew and the broadcast team knew and Steve Mathis knew that Eli was under the weather, I think it's a totally different day on even me watching. He hole shots and goes to sixth first moto. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Is this like a Millville all over again? Is it
Right.
bike setting?
That's
Where
what I
like, there's
thought.
so many questions.
That's what I thought.
If we knew, all questions are off the table.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I would think within the next 5, it's like, I think it's kind of an old school thing, keeping it close to the chest, which, like I said,
Yeah.
I respect it. I get it. I really do. But I think we'll get there, just like I think we'll get there with the salary. We're talking about this contract that Jett signed. Like we're going to get there. We say it all the time, but it's starting to be more money coming in. It's more people watching. Ratings are up. So these things will naturally come, I believe. And another thing that happened this weekend, big deal. Hunter Lawrence won his he won in the playoffs in Dallas last year, but his first pro motocross win in the premier class, which to me, if it wasn't so talked about, like I would say that Hunter had 3 or 4 wins.
Same.
Already. Because how many times has that guy been so close?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and we'll talk about the Jett hitting the gate, the penalty, Chase had a big get off, DNF, second moto. But to say Hunter Lawrence didn't deserve this win would be completely and utterly ridiculous. That guy has been so consistent. He's been getting better, it seems like, every weekend for 3 years now. He's always had an off weekend at Washougal, admittedly not his favorite track, doesn't gel with it. Came back this weekend, 2-2. Sure, he would have liked to win a moto. It's always nice to win a moto, win the overall. But an overall is an overall. Hunter Lawrence, it's about time, man. Congrats, though. He did it, JB.
He did it. Well deserved. We've talked about it time and time again, whether it's on this show or you and I personally or Race Day Live, pre-show, post-show, whatever it is. We respect Hunter Lawrence at the highest level. And a lot of it is the way he's gotten there. You've said multiple times how you can relate to him. You get knocked down, you come back, get knocked down again, you come back. I've told the Dallas story multiple times about he wins
yeah.
his first Supercross, and the next morning, he's on the spin bike and not even really that happy. Like, all right, got to do my job again and try and win this championship. And it's just like there's so much focus on and I think JT did a great job on the broadcast talking about how much
Always does.
Hunter focuses just on the process. And we all talk about it. We're like, oh, just process. Don't want to focus on this end result. And so many sports therapists and psychologists talk about that. Just focus on the process and not the end result. It's so hard to do, man. It's just so hard to do. And Hunter Lawrence does it maybe better than anyone. He just focuses so much on the process. And once again, I've said it before, I was there at the test track with him when he's 3 to 4 seconds a lap off the pace, but he's only focusing on that day and the process that him, his team, Johnny O'Mara, Dazzy, and all have in place for what we're going to achieve on this single day. And I'll self-admit it, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'm chasing lap times. I'm trying to go fast. Yeah, I could maybe work a section here or there, but to be that far off in the 250 class at a certain time in his career, it's so impressive to now be one of the most elite 450 riders in the world. I mean, he does. He demands a rider, number one rider on a team salary.
Absolutely.
Even though he's paired up next to Jett, who is better. I mean, Jett's just a freak at once every 10 to 15. Maybe we've never seen anything like this. Yeah. So I'm just a huge fan of Hunter Lawrence. I love that he got it done. But I'm with you. I feel like if somebody, said how many overalls does Hunter Lawrence have, if we weren't so plugged in and know most of the stats, I would say he's won 3 or 4. But I believe he's at 10 second place overall finishes. Now finally gets the overall. And the crazier stat is he's never been outside of the top 5 ever.
That's wild, dude.
In a 450 moto. That's
not
crazy.
one. Yeah, no DNFs, no weird crap. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I love what you said, and like you said about JT. For one, JT does an unreal job on the broadcast every weekend. There's hardly ever a time that guy speaks, and I'm not like, wow, that was really well said. And it's just he has that knowledge that comes with having a long career in the sport, being around it. He has that knowledge, and I think he's so good at making the kind of those little nuances that come with racing, the things that like you and I know that fans maybe don't. He does such a great job of articulating that in a way that people can understand and digest. I think it's great for the sport. Like I really do. Even the casual fan can listen to JT talk and feel like they know so much more about the sport, about whatever rider, the track, whatever he's talking about. So shout out JT. I think that's a pretty universal thing in our sport. I don't think there's many fans that don't appreciate what he's doing. But I did love what he said about how he focuses on the process. And you and I know it's so difficult. It's so difficult to do when the result is what you've spent like pretty much every waking moment of your life working towards. So how can you be disciplined enough to be like, whatever my best is, like to focus on the process, whatever my best is, like that to me, that is what I'm striving for. It is so hard, and the emotional maturity, emotional discipline it takes to keep bringing yourself back to that spot, because humans are still human beings. It's not like Hunter. It's not like it's just super easy for him to focus on the process. Like he's just naturally predisposed to, just like that's easy for him. It's difficult. Like I'm sure his mind wanders towards how many times over the course of this season has he probably laid in his bed and thought about, man, I cannot believe I don't have an overall win yet. But I think an important distinction is guys like that, guys like Hunter that are so good at focusing on the process. It's not like that's just how they think all the time. It's what they do when their mind wanders. They bring it back to the goal, to the process, time and time and time again. It's not like we talked about this with Ryan Dungey, I believe it was at Daytona on Race Day Live this year, but it's not like their mind doesn't wander. It's just a discipline to be aware enough to know when it does and to bring it back. And like you said, I think Hunter's situation with his younger brother potentially being the, maybe the greatest rider we've ever seen, I think it's forced him to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, imagine, how many times, especially early in Hunter's career, where everybody was just waiting for Jett. And they were, they just thought they saw Hunter as Jett's older brother. And like you said, he is a number one rider on any team right now. He's earned, millions and millions of dollars in, sponsorship dollars, contracts. Like, he's that guy. And it all goes back to that discipline. Like you said, you just keep bringing it back to the present moment, doing everything you got. And I respect it.
Yeah. Well said. The one thing that I will say, and why it's so important to focus just on the process and why we should all strive to do that, is I guarantee you, if we talk to Hunter right now, he's rode better handfuls of times and not won the overall than he did last weekend at Ironman. I can guarantee you that wasn't the best he's ridden the 450. There's been weeks where he's probably should have won the overall, but he's went, 1-3 or whatever it may be. And now he goes 2-2 and wins the overall. So if you're just basing this kind of goes back to earlier about just you're so dialed in on just that result and it defines you. If you're only dialed in on that, then he would go back this week and say, accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. I finally won. But instead, I'm sure he's saying, or Dazzy's pointing things out, or, hey, the bike was kicking a little bit over there. Because there wasn't a single bike on the track this weekend that looked great. I'm sure that was just a track thing, but I don't know if you agree with that, but nobody's bike looked good.
No.
So there's always room for improvement. So, I mean, if you're only focused on the end result, it's like it can mislead everybody down the wrong path. And although Hunter rode great, he even said it in his own words after the first moto, like, didn't feel that great, got tracked down from Chase, especially towards the end. It obviously was hot this weekend on a tough track. And going back to the track a little bit, how about all the singles to no landings? We need some landings on the track. Like, there's a lot of flatlanders, huh?
That'll take you out. I was wondering. I was on the range hitting some balls yesterday, and I was wondering why my knees were a little sore. Must have been from watching that. There's nothing like flat landing a jump over and over and over again to really make you hate dirt bikes there for a few minutes.
Yeah, and the reason I thought of that was I was thinking Hunter, one of the laps came up short, and because you're just tripling like off a big jump into rollers constantly, and he cased one time or overshot one and landed in the ruts. And anyways, it wasn't like his very best weekend where he rode absolutely flawless, but he still got the overall. Awesome weekend, awesome ride. That's what, $150,000 to get that win in the record books forever. And I think it's first of many, man. He's too good not to get a bunch more.
He's too good. He's going to be around. He's going to be around a long time. He's got the formula. And I think there's still room for growth there. Mm-hmm. You see flashes at certain times. Like the one critique kind of Hunter, I think, to me when I watch him, is that there's times where I watch him ride where I'm like, that guy, and you've heard Carmichael talk about it on the broadcast, is like, you do have to be comfortable being uncomfortable to an extent. We've seen it even with Jett. We talk about how smooth he is, how it looks like he's not trying. But there's times in almost every race that Jett does well at where it looks like he's kind of riding the ragged edge. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's the next step for Hunter that I see, is like just being able to have those bursts of speed like a little bit more consistently. But like you said, just unbelievable job, deserved. I kind of want to dive in. We can go over Chase's crash. I kind of want to talk about the Jett hitting the gate and the penalty. I want to break this down with you.
Let's do it. Well, first 450 moto, you can see right next to Jett, we have a different angle of that as well. So Jeremy Hand is on our left, on Jett's right. You can watch, he flinches right there. So then Jett, so take you inside the helmet in that moment. First moto, you're just so anxious. You're ready to go. Any little flinch, and your brain has been taught for years and years since you were on a 50 that if anything flinches, you go, because that's the instinct, right? So Jeremy Hand to his right, to Jett's right, flinched. So then he obviously goes, and then he realized, oh, the gate's not down. He backs up a little bit, hits the gate falls forward, his whole shot device comes up, and then obviously the gate goes down, and you go. We've seen this a bunch. Like, a lot of people have flinched, you've hit the gate, and I didn't think anything of it when I'm watching. I'm thinking, oh man, bummer for Jett. He started outside the top 20, and this is going to be interesting. I'm thinking as a fan, I'm like, this is going to be great. The best guy, the fastest guy in the sport right now, got a bad start, which we hardly ever see. I mean, he's never outside of the top 5 off the start.
Never.
So this is going to be fun to watch. How far up can Jett get? And then obviously the moto happens. Chase has an incredible ride. Jett catches up to Chase. Chase weathers a storm a little bit in a crazy battle, which was awesome. We need to touch on that, how great it was for Chase to hold him off. And then you hear that there's a penalty. And then, I was with my wife on vacation, and I'm tuned in watching on the phone, and I hear Weege say that there's going to be a penalty coming in for Jett. And I'm like, wait, what? A penalty? And then they say a full lap. And I'm like, I was mind blown then. I'm still mind blown now. And the penalty's crazy. It does not fit the crime. Like, not even close.
I see. So he hits the gate right there. You see, and when the gate drops, I see he's about a wheel length ahead of it. Like, the back of his front tire is at the front of everybody else's front tire. So I understand that he started. I kind of understand the premise of the penalty, but I feel like, I should say, I think I've seen that happen. We've seen guys hit the gate. We've seen guys start next to the doghouse and wait to hear the air compressor that drops the gate, wait to hear that thing go and just dump the clutch and get a whole shot by 5 bike lengths. Chase, San Francisco, 2024, I believe.
Tomac at Phoenix when they had a split start. I've done it before. I'm guilty of it. Straight
Who
up.
hasn't, dude?
Yeah.
Who hasn't?
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of what's there. But to me, and I listened to Mike Pelletier, which, by the way, is a great dude, reasonable dude. We've been around him a bunch. Smart guy, no doubt. And he said this is a set penalty that's been in place for a long time. Let's rewrite the rules here, Justin, because a lap penalty for hitting the gate and getting a terrible start. Now, if he hit the gate and the gate fell forward and he took off and he was 6 bike lengths in front of everybody else and he got the whole shot, then okay, maybe different story. But a 1-lap penalty for that, to me, is nuts. Okay, maybe a 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
A 10-second penalty, a couple positions. But for Jett to have the ride that he did and for it to be a 17th place after the penalty, to me, is just ludicrous.
Yeah. I mean, we could go any which way here, but I want to go here, and this is probably going to cause some controversy. But
JB and controversy? Let's go.
Here's what I thought and I've thought about this the last day or so since it happened. I'm like, because I don't ever like to go to people with problems with no solution. I can't stand that. Even my kids, like, when they come to me, this problem, like, okay, what would you do about it? I don't know. Like, no. And J-Bone, who's at the AMA, who was my team manager at JGR for 4 years, he says the same thing, which I totally agree with. If you're going to come complain about something, have a solution. I mean, there's probably 800 different solutions, but here's an idea. And here's what I think as an ex-rider is we need somebody in place. And this could be Mike Pelletier, because I think he's very highly respected and highly capable of doing this. We need someone in power, in the position of power, that has everybody in the paddocks respect, that can make a call on the fly. And whether he has Jeremy Albrecht in there, who's highly respectable and been around a long time, Ezra Lusk, highly respectable and one of the baddest dudes to ever throw his leg over the bike. Like, Mike is, he's getting this team of people around him that's very
Smart.
highly
Yeah.
respectable that should be able to make decisions on the fly. So now let's rewind. That happens. Imagine if Mike Pelletier, Jeremy Albrecht, and Ezra Lusk are sitting in this. This is just like an NFL call. I mean, there's referees that, for one, they're human beings calling it while they're playing, and now they have replays, which has been great. Well, we have replays that they could study that for 10 minutes, but then Jett gets a 10-second pass-through penalty in the mechanics area or something like that, where he knows right then and there, because I think this is one thing in our sport it has to get to, where the penalties do not come out even in between motos. Like the penalties, remember they used to come out like Wednesday, Thursday the next week. We're like, what? Or Sunday or whenever. Like, I think same with F1, same with NASCAR, same with stick and ball sports. These penalties are almost instantaneous now. And for Jett to ride that way, not knowing he's going to get that type of penalty, maybe it changes his mindset of, hey, you're penalized a lap, which is crazy. Like, I don't even want to talk about that because that's so far fetched of it should that penalty being a lap.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But I mean, what do you think about that? Like,
Well,
I think Pelletier is doing an amazing job.
yeah.
I think he's the right person for the job. I think he's getting people around him that have the respect of the paddock. Now, what would you think about that happening or something else happening? A guy cutting the track, a guy going around, these stakes in the ground and the track barriers. Like a lot of people are cutting the track. What if somebody's seen that, had it on video? Ezra, J-Bone, Mike Pelletier, whoever, Andrew Short was there for a while, highly respectable. And they make a decision that, hey, it's a 5-second pass-through penalty, or hey, whatever it may be, but instant that moto, you know your penalty and you know your position.
So I understand that I think a lot of people, a lot of riders in the past have complained about some AMA rules and there not being a set penalty.
Mm-hmm.
There not being because at the end of the day, in the past, we as riders, we haven't trusted the guy that is making the call on what the penalty is.
Exactly.
Like, we don't even really know exactly. Of course, it's Pelletier now. Like, we didn't even really know who was making the call at the end of the day. I think if it was somebody like Ezra Lusk or I don't know, I think it's somebody like Trey Kennard or or
Shorty, great example.
Yeah, Shorty,
yeah,
J-Bone. I think if we knew that those are the guys that are going to be making the call on what the penalty is, I think there would be a lot more wiggle room in terms of not having a set penalty. Oh, you hit the gate, you're docked a lap. Like, I like the fact that there are across the board in a lot of areas. I think that it's smart to have a penalty that's already set, because it's not going to be biased. Like, you do this is what's going to happen. But in dirt bike racing, so many things happen that are just unique. Like, they're unique instances, and they happen at every other weekend. It seems like there's some type of marginal call.
Yeah.
And I do think there needs to be guys that have been there, that have done that are well respected by the riders in those positions to make that call. Because no matter how smart you are, and I'm not entirely sure of Mike Pelletier's background in racing. I know that he's a super smart guy. Like you said, he's surrounded himself by good people, which is what, any boss that knows what they're talking about across the board in any type of company does. So you try to surround yourself by people that are, smarter than you, or at least know more about a certain subject. But it's hard if you haven't been there and done that as a racer. It's hard to be able to make those calls.
Yeah.
And so I think from a rider's point of view, we would want former riders kind of making that call. I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever. Like, if you were to ask Hunter or Chase or Eli if Jett should have been docked a lap, like, all of them are saying no way.
Yeah.
No shot.
Exactly.
It's just one of those deals where, that set penalty, I don't know who exactly, put pen to paper on that penalty. But yeah, dude, it's just way over the top.
Yeah, and
Oh,
I
yeah,
think I agree with you. Our old regime at the AMA, they weren't ready to do that. No one trusted them to do that.
no,
So you had to have a written rule.
definitely not. Yeah,
And but now we're coming up on all these things. I think of the Anstey kitchen thing in Detroit.
yep.
Like in that moment, of course there's a rule, but in that moment, I think everyone would agreed, and everyone did agree that next week, like you can't restart that race single file. It was 6 seconds to go on a white flag, and Anstey done everything in his power to do what he did. He did his job, did everything
It is gone.
he was supposed to do. And same with Hayden. A couple years ago, Budds Creek is gone. It wasn't to
Oh,
the
yeah.
halfway point. So then they're having to rewrite these rules. Well, now I believe that we have the correct people in place. Mike Pelletier, Ezra, all the guys you just named. And Christina Denny's doing a great job as well.
Absolutely.
So I do think now the paddock, as teams, team managers, manufacturers, riders, whoever it is, I think we're getting close to having a time where we would put the trust in them to make the right call. And of course, they're going to make the wrong call every now and again, but referees in the Super Bowl make the wrong call every now and again. But I do think it's in a better place than it's ever been. So I think we're ready for that, because imagine if this was the last round. Imagine if this is Sexton and Tomac a couple years ago going down to the last round, or imagine if Jett's tied with whoever. Like, to lose a championship and to lose that much money over that,
It's crazy.
that's crazy. And a manufacturer to spend that much money and Jett to do that much work and all of that to lose, like, we need to be thankful that he has as big of a lead as he has, because this
Big
could be a
time.
bigger deal than it actually
It'd
is.
be a huge
I don't
deal.
want it to get to that point where it's a bigger deal than it is. And it potentially could be. I'm sure this rule will get changed now, but there's going to be a time when it's too late.
And this is where I would like to see, riders have more of a voice. Because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, us talking about, how this could be better, like, this is a conversation that's going to take place between the teams and the AMA. Like, there's no riders going to be sitting there.
Yeah.
The team will maybe ask the rider's opinion before they sit down with the AMA and talk about it. But the riders don't have a seat at the table, like, when it comes to this stuff. And I really think that, when it comes to this kind of thing, I think there's look no further than the riders. Like, I really do think that 99 times out of 100, like, that's going to be, what the riders come up with, what they, work with the AMA with, like, that's going to turn out to be reasonable. And I think a lot of the disconnect is the fact that it's the teams, the team managers and whatever, having conversations with the AMA about it. And the riders aren't there. And it's basically up to the team managers of how much they want to communicate with the riders, or, if the riders, if what they want is different than the team managers, how much is their voice even being heard at all?
Yeah.
So I think things like this in general, it's a great opportunity to get the riders a little bit more involved.
Yeah, I will. The only pushback I would say to that is the riders having some sort of different biased opinion on a certain rule, and that's why I love that the ex riders like an Ezra Lusk. I think there needs to be more. You mentioned Trey Kennard, Andrew Short, these guys, especially guys that are fresh off the track, that are completely unbiased. I agree with you. There should be a rider's seat at the table, but that's through one lens. And we were talking earlier how we just see things through a different lens. So that would be my only pushback on that. But it is also where, like, Ezra is completely unbiased. He's going to have the riders back 9 times out of 10, but there's also a different lens that he sees as an AMA official now. So I think the more riders that get in there, and it's also why, just what I said, we're getting to a place, or maybe we are even at a place where we can make the most logical decision within seconds, if not seconds, within minutes. And then you have J-Bone, who's seen it through, who's argued with the AMA as a team manager. He's argued with the AMA as a mechanic. So that's a great lens that he sees through. Then you have Pelletier, who's kind of rule book lens. Then you have Ezra Lusk or Andrew Short. Like, I love all these different lenses. And with those respectable people in place, I think we're getting to a place where it doesn't take very long to make the right decision on the fly.
And I stick by what I said, but I will say that the AMA has done, like, it has progressed across the board.
Yeah.
Like you said, my last couple of years racing, I did feel like Mike Pelletier cared what I said.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
they did more. They've been putting more emphasis, putting guys like Ezra, like J-Bone in place that have seen all sides. Like, it's a tough business. It's a tough job to be that. I mean, how much crap does the AMA get every time a call is made one way or the other? I mean, it's a tough job. It's a thankless job, no doubt. But I will say they have done. They're making the right steps. They've done a lot of really good things in the last couple of years to, make the riders feel like they have more of a voice. So I didn't want to say my other point without saying that. I think it's all headed in the right direction. But like you said, like, when something like this happens, it kind of just, sparks some conversation, and you don't want to see that happen to people. Because, what if that was, I don't know, what if that was a guy that, guy hit the gate, he had a chance to win, and that could have been his only win ever. Like, it's Jett, and he's won, 23 of the 25 races he's entered. It's a little different. He's got a huge lead in the championship. But under most circumstances, with a few rounds to go, like, most of the time, that's going to have major championship implications. And so I think, like you said, it's lucky that he has such a big points lead, and it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. So yeah, that's pretty much all for me on Jett's penalty. Kind of weird, dude. Like, Jett's lost 2 races in a row. I think the world's ending. Sky's falling.
Yeah, exactly. Even though he was still the best guy. And let's talk about that first moto. That was incredible. And I actually think although Jett had a crazy come from behind ride, that ride from Chase Sexton showed me a lot. It showed me a lot of what's to come in the future. It showed me a lot on Chase's maturity throughout the year. We had him on the show. He's speaking different. He seems more mature. Seems more self-aware. And him fighting that hard to hold off Jett for that long, some aggressive back and forth and closing the door. Look what it did. Like, Jett relented. Jett's
he
like,
shut it down.
I've had enough. I'm good. And if Chase doesn't do that, Jett goes to the front.
Nope. Yeah, absolutely.
Wins the race.
No doubt.
1-1 on the day. Obviously would still get penalized, but still, like, Chase Sexton, that was great.
That was, I could not agree more with you. I'm glad you brought it up, because that was, we had him on the show a few weeks ago, and you and I off camera were, kind of talking. Things seems a little different. Like, we talked about it all year in Supercross, like, waiting for Chase to make that next little jump, and we know that it's not physical. I mean, you can't get any more physically fit than he. Like, his technique's great. The only thing that I think can get a little better is the mental side of things. Just because Jett is so unreal, you got to be dialed in all areas. But this weekend, he showed that. Like, we don't have to really debate that anymore. To me, that was the biggest. Even though it didn't end, DNF second moto, big crash. But I think this weekend is as good as a win for him. Like, in that first moto, and that also says a lot about how good Jett is. But when I saw Jett coming from the back, Chase kind of held him there. Once Jett got into third, you could tell he took a little bit of a breather, and then started going after Chase. And I think everybody watching was like, well, here we go again. Jett's going to get by him. He's going to the front. And the way Chase responded, like, especially on a track like that, like, that track was so technical. Everybody's bike looked terrible. The back end was off the ground more than it was on it. As soon as you tried going into a lot of those corners, the ruts are really long.
Yeah.
You get ruts, and then you get the braking bumps in the ruts. And the problem is you get, Chase got pressure from Jett. What's your first instinct? Okay, give it more gas. Well, if you give it more gas, you're going into a corner faster. Next thing you know, you're going through the bumps in the rut, back tires off the ground, swap side to side, gets outside the rut, and it's over.
Yeah.
Pack it up. You're going to the hot, you got a broken collarbone. You're pissed off. Your year's done.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the fact that he responded in a way of like, yes, he raised his intensity in a way, but he had to be smart with how he responded. You can't just go out there and, now I'm just going to, sprint. It is a really thoughtful, you had to be very thoughtful about kind of where you applied intensity on the track. And I just love to see him like close the door on Jett. Of course, it wasn't anything dirty. He's just protecting the inside. Like there's absolutely, and even from Jett's point of view, there's no way Jett would be like, yeah, that was out of line. It was aggressive, but I think with how good Jett is, for Chase to kind of put his foot down and be like, you're not going by me. I thought that was the biggest win maybe of Chase's year so far, was that first moto. Even though he didn't close the deal, it's going to give Jett a little something to think about. Look, he's still the man. Jett's still the guy. We know that. But definitely we're seeing I think we're starting to see Chase figured out a little bit. I think we're starting to see him figured out. And yeah, dude, I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've talked multiple times about what weaknesses can you expose from Jett, or AC, if you were racing Jett, what are the weaknesses that you could expose? And no one can think of one. He's a great start. Like the list goes on, right? Well, now Chase can say, even though Jett's probably like, wow, he didn't expose when I came from behind. I got stuck in the gate. I got a big lead. We've only got a couple races to go, championship, this and that.
Totally.
But if you're Chase and Chase's crew, you're like, we exposed one. We need to fight as hard as we can fight for 2 laps and block him and cut him, like do everything you can and see what happens. And it worked. It worked one time. Will it work 2? We don't know. But if you're Chase Sexton, you're thinking, all right, next time he catches me, I'm going to try that same thing and see if it works again. Because, I mean, what else would you do? He's got more speed. He's like, there's just no weaknesses. So I love to see it. Love to see that fight. And how about the fitness of these guys, man? Especially Chase. Like, the dude is just so fit. He's so fit, man. Super hot. Rough.
It used to make it used to make me mad, because when he first came down to Florida, he was like 15, and we were doing road bike rides and stuff together already, and I could already tell right away. He wasn't necessarily like better than me then, but I could already tell. I'm like, this guy's just a monster. Like he's just got, you see it, they talk about it in cycling all the time, but having like those guys that do well at like Roubaix and those one-day classics, like how they just have like such a big motor. That's Chase. Like to me, and James was talking about it a little on the broadcast this week, but so much of it is like your ability to recover. You come through the pack, you come from the back, you get to a certain point in the race, like I was talking about with Jett when he got in the third, and you kind of take half a lap to kind of catch your breath again. And Chase is so good at that. Like his ability to kind of get his heart rate down. I think a lot of that has to do with how physically strong he is as well. Like he's got the cardio side, obviously, but in terms of strength, maybe Tomac, but I don't think there's anybody. I don't think there's anybody on the track that's like just straight up as physically strong as him. And that helps a lot. Like we saw it when he hit the ground. I mean, that was a big hit in the second moto, and he popped right back up, and he always seems to pop up no matter how bad the crash is. He looks like a football player in like full pads, dude. The guy is definitely not aerodynamic, I'll tell you that. He's wide. But yeah, I just think like you said, I was so surprised to see Jett shut it down as much as he did. I mean, I was yelling at my TV because you could tell the moment, like Jett, a couple different times he did what Jett does. And he has those little bursts of speed, the bursts of like kind of riding the edge. And he did that a couple times. And when it didn't work the second or third time, he was like, you know what? Like, I'm just not going to risk it. It could have been the track. The track was definitely sketchy in spots, like I was talking about. Could be the fact that he's got a 175-point lead in the championship. Could be those things. But
Yeah.
I think for Chase, huge just mental win for him. And with anything, with anybody, I think it's just trying to get them outside of their comfort zone. Like, as much as you can put the heat on somebody as great as Jett, the more often you're going to see something like that. Because Jett, I mean, he's smart too. Like, as much as he wins, he knows when the win isn't there. And I also think it's kind of impressive that Jett's ego didn't get in the way. And he wasn't just like, oh, I just can't let this happen. He shut it down, went out there and dominated the second moto. So you can't really fault his, the way that he attacked the day either. But we haven't seen that out of Chase. We haven't seen it. We saw it this weekend. And I think he just made a big statement in terms of how it could be moving forward between those guys.
Yeah. As great as it was for Chase, unfortunately for Chase, it also shows, just like you said, how smart and how mature Jett is. Because you want to be able to push him over the limit and he goes down. That's what would be the ideal situation for Chase. We'll just say it. But Jett's too smart, man. So it's like, it's a double-edged sword right now. Like, he's so mature. He's so smart. He's like, man, I'm good. I know where I'm at. I know how good I am. Like you said, he puts his ego to the side. So it's like, man, he's that good and he's that smart.
And
so
that's what
it's kind of like, it's both ways. But what about Chase's crash? Let's break that down a little bit. Second moto, he's coming to the pack. Hunter Lawrence just made a mistake. He gets past Hunter. Jorge Prado's right there with him, which shout out to Jorge, had a pretty solid day.
He
Fifth
did.
overall, going 5.6 on the day. But Chase looked like going to have the overall solid day, home race. And there you see Hunter right there on the side of the track. And he just comes up right here to this single. A lot of braking bumps, AC. And then what do you think happens here?
It's a tough one. I've watched it a few times. And I even saw Jett have a couple sketchy moments kind of on the left side of that single. Jett was carrying a lot of speed into that wall because he was jumping the big triple kind of over the face of that next double on the finish line. But because of the braking bumps, I'm really not sure if he missed the back brake or if he just kind of caught sometimes you can catch a bump with your front tire before you get over the face of the jump. And I don't know, maybe he was on the gas a little bit. The front tire got high, the back really hooked up. And then next thing you know, you're, going Brian Deegan style in the air off the wall here. But you see his front brake, like his front tire was locked up in the air. You see that the spokes aren't turning. So I don't know if we've got conclusive word from KTM or from Chase if it was a bike problem before he even went off the face. But to me, if the front tire was locked up going off the face of that jump, wouldn't he have endoed? Or, I mean, I know I've been retired going on a year and a half now, but I feel like if the front tire was already locked up, I feel like it would have been a full nosedive. Or am I wrong? Is that only the rear brake?
No, the front brake does that for sure. Anybody watching or listening, if you're on a jump, do not lock up your front brake. I tried it. I just got on 125s, hit this double, and I'm like, wonder what this would do. Lock the front brake, front tire locks up, and instantly over the bars, like you said. Yes, I did. I personally did it, but
I've hit my front brake in the air on accident. I think we all have, and it gives you kind of that weird, like the front tire, like the front tire feels, the handlebars feel like they're 1,000 pounds. But I've never done it enough to endo. But you say you've tested it, and
but I was flat. So like a normal jump flat, if you hit your front brake and lock that thing up, you're instant over the bars. I mean, like that. But in this circumstance, which I've done this before, so typically when they have walls in Supercross, you go up to the wall really fast, you lock up both brakes, and I've had it happen to me where my front brake, I'm still just barely touching it when my front tire comes off the wall, and you're kind of in like this weird gyro, exactly what
I've
happened to
done that.
Chase. So that circumstance, him not being level wouldn't throw him into an endo. It would do exactly what it did. Like, you can't control it. Like you said, your handlebars are like, feel like they're super heavy, and it just goes out from underneath you. So that was the first thing I thought, was he came into that single really fast. There's a bunch of braking bumps. He's on the rear brake, he's on the front brake, and maybe his front tire left off of a braking bump a little bit earlier than he expected, and he was still on the front brake a little bit. So his front tire is locked, and he got that weird gyro.
Like, he was carrying too much. He was carrying a little bit too much speed into the single, and he kind of got to the top of the face a little bit faster than he was anticipating.
Exactly.
So front brake was on, and it was game over.
And then that's exactly what would happen. Now, there's some people are saying that maybe there was something, like dirt or something stuck in the front brake. I don't know, but whatever the case is, I believe his front brake obviously was locked up and his front tire was locked, and that's what caused that super weird gyro, and you look like a beginner off the jump. And then his front tire was completely locked when he got up, and some people are saying his throttle was stuck and stuff. I think he was just trying to get going.
Yeah.
And then obviously the frustration kicked in, and unfortunately DNF'd the moto. So we don't know at this particular time exactly if it was just his mistake and then the crash caused that, maybe a really badly bent rotor, because when his front tire did come down, Pork, if you want to pull that up again, the view of like behind the jump when Chase is coming at us, because when he lands, when his front tire hits the ground, it is at a weird angle. Watch right here. His front tire will come down. Yep. So weird gyro, and then boom, right there. You see, like, that could bend the front rim. It could maybe blow out the front wheel. It could bend the disc. Like, bang, that's a lot of force. And we're just talking about how strong and big Chase is. That's a lot of force on the front wheel. So it could be two different things. Like, I don't know if Chase made the mistake, and I don't even call it a mistake. It's just literally something that happens. It's happened to me before, where you get this weird gyro. You're on the brakes a little bit too hard off of a single like that, and that happens. And then that crash caused something to happen to the front wheel. Or if it happened before, happened literally down that straightaway, up the face of the jump, and then it ultimately ended in DNF. So bummer for Chase. Glad he's okay, but had to be pretty frustrating.
Had to be frustrating. But like I said, I think, knowing Chase, I'm sure he's not too stoked, because had he finished,
right?
had he finished off that day, I mean, that would have been a pretty like staple win, 2 in a row, like it. But still, I think over the last couple of weeks, Washougal this weekend, I mean, I think Chase is doing the things that he needs to do, whether that was his mistake and then, like you said, landed, turned into a bike problem from there, whatever. One point I did want to make, and Chase gets, I look on social media, see what people are talking about so we can, get our topics and whatnot. And Chase gets a lot of, he gets a lot of heat when he makes a mistake, because he's made some mistakes, especially early in his 450 career, had so much speed. And, there's a process of trying to refine that and make that consistent, and, to put yourself in a spot where you can contend for titles. And when you have that much raw speed, it's hard to contain. And in general, in racing, even if you do everything right, you're going to hit the ground, because it's impossible not to put a wheel wrong. It's impossible to not ever know that you can't lean the bike over a certain amount in a turn because it's not going to hold the tires. It doesn't have enough traction, or you're leaned over in a rut and the rut pushes away from you. Like, you don't know when that, when the berm is finally going to blow out. Like, the best riders in the world, everybody's makes mistakes, and some make them less than others. But I think the point here with Chase is, like, the guy wants to win. He wants to be the best. He wants to win races, wants to win championships. He's clearly got the talent for that. He's done that. He's had an incredible career so far. But my thing is, like, with him crashing, making these mistakes, like, it's going to like to beat Jett. We've talked about it. This guy doesn't like this talent doesn't, we maybe never seen it before. Like you have to kind of find that edge and mistakes are going to happen when you do that. If Chase was content with being a podium guy, I'm sure you would, I'm almost positive you would see 75% less mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants to win the race. He wants to be the best guy. So you're constantly trying to find a limit. Like that's just the nature of the game if you want to be the best. Ask James Stewart, ask Ricky Carmichael, Villopoto, Dungey, all of them. Like it just happens. And so I think it's fine that, fans and industry, whatever, can, get on him for making some mistakes, because ultimately he's set such a high standard for himself. You wouldn't expect to see somebody of that caliber maybe make the mistakes that he's made. But I've on one hand, I respect it. Like he's constantly trying to get better. He's trying to find a new level, trying to win. And JB, I think it just happens sometimes. Like it just happens. And it's not that he's like, mentally weak or anything other that's crazy. It's just dirt bikes, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you're just going to hit the ground sometimes.
I'm glad you brought this up because I think we need to appreciate it more than anything. And all the fans out there, we need to appreciate that Chase Sexton is pushing this hard to try and beat Jett. You said it earlier. He's maybe the best we've ever seen. So who can challenge him? Well, Chase is trying, and he can. He can beat him. He did this weekend. So, yeah, I think it's okay. And unfortunately, nowadays, everything is so exposed, and he's on the TV he's on there all the time because he's winning or he's charging to the front, and then we get to see it. How many things do we not see that the other 38 or 36 guys are making mistakes and crashing in the back of the pack? We just don't see it. Or the guy in 8th crashed twice at Moto. We just didn't see it. He made a bunch of mistakes. We didn't see it because he's not on the TV as much as Chase Sexton is. So I appreciate it. And also I've got to ride the same track with him as you have during the week and see his work ethic and what he works on and how fast he can go. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface. If he can bring what he does during the week, you've seen it, AC. If he brings that to Saturday, he obviously can win. He's done it multiple times in championships, but man, that's something special. And obviously Jett's doing it right now, but I think the difference is, and what Chase has gotten better at over time, is when he was on the Honda, his lean angle in the turns, I would say this all the time, but his lean angle on lap 15 was the same lean angle on lap 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that rut has changed. You can't do that now. You can't do that. But Chase was trying to do it, and that's what he can do all day on a Tuesday, because that rut doesn't change that much because there's only 3 or 4 guys on that track. But I do think he's gotten better with that. So do you agree? Did you see that as well? Like lap 2, his lean angle was just like, oh my goodness, that's unbelievable. And then he tried the same thing on lap 12 or 15. It's like, dude, that rut's changed a lot. Like it can't hold you, and he loses the front.
And he can, the thing I think that I noticed with Chase with that point specifically is that he can get away with it a lot of the time.
Yeah. Because
he's so good. Like he's just, he's got a natural feel. He's strong. His technique's good. Like he can get away with that stuff sometimes. So I think he just, I think occasionally he just asks too much out of the track. Like sometimes you just got to do it a little bit of a different way. But that's what I've seen. I mean, even I think about that Minneapolis 2022 crash. He was leading last lap coming out of the left-hand corner. Remember when he like bent his front tire? He was pushing the front wheel on the on-off crash. He's done that his whole life. But I think, and I was watching Chase obviously in that first moto this weekend, Washougal, and I was just thinking that, with the battle with Cooper Webb and Supercross, the narrative became Chase is better on a motorcycle. He can do more stuff than Coop, but he didn't win. So it was kind of like this negative look of how we looked at Chase. And then he had, Fox Raceway happen. He went out. And so there really hasn't been a whole lot of talk around this, but Chase has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Like in the last 2 years. He really has made a lot of big steps, and that's coincided with Jett doing the same thing. So I think he's just been in Jett's shadow a little bit, and of course Tomac, but you can't take anything away. Like, he's absolutely gotten better. He makes less mistakes. He's smarter in terms of the intensity. Like, his first couple of years on 450, which is normal, and especially normal in the 250 class, you just go out there and go as fast as you can the whole time. And he was good enough to where that could work. But now he's figured out how to win races a little smarter, a little bit more consistently. And so, yeah, I mean, I think he has gotten a lot better, JB. And I think there's going to be a time, maybe it's the playoffs, where we're going to see it. Like, I think he's slowly been kind of adding pieces to the puzzle. And we have these weekends. We had the weekends in Supercross where we saw it. We saw the complete package. And, of course, Jett and Eli weren't there because they were hurt. But I don't think, and that's why I'm looking forward to the playoffs, because I just don't feel like we've had the stage for Chase to really show up and be like, oh, Chase is different. Like that, he hasn't had, I don't, for whatever reason, Washougal, he's just came back, a few races ago. But I think that's why the playoffs are going to be so fun to watch, is because I really do think we're going to see a different Chase, because the writing's on the wall to me, man. Like, everybody's going to make some mistakes sometimes, but he's very close to being a complete rider. And I think on most weekends, if he can keep carrying this, whatever he's doing mentally, if he can keep carrying this, I think on most weekends he might become the favorite to the fans, because people starting to get over Jett winning all the time. Like, that happens in every sport ever. Jett's probably going to get booed at some point in the next couple of years because he wins so much. And Chase is going to be like he's going to be the guy that can come in and can really blow for blow challenge Jett. So we shall see. We shall see.
Can't wait. I'm with you, man.
Dude.
I cannot wait for the playoffs. It's going to be fun. But speaking of mistakes and the lack thereof, how about this guy, RJ Hampshire?
Dude.
Full of mistakes on a 250. Like, full of them.
And you're
almost
thinking,
to where we joke about it and he jokes about it, to now, no mistakes, solid as ever, super fit, super fast. Like, in qualifying was unbelievable. And he goes 3-4 for second overall. Well done, RJ. Well done.
And I think the general thought process, like, when watching RJ over the last 10 years, is like, dude, that guy is literally going to be lethal on a 450. Like, this is not going to this is not
flying everywhere.
Yeah, this is not going to translate. But I respect about RJ too. He's always been fine to play into that. He's like, I am who I am. I am who I am. I'm doing my best to be better. I don't want to crash. I don't want to make mistakes. But you're going to get my 100%. He's had a great career. He stayed in the 250 class a long time, but now he's on the 450. He's making the most of it. And he's been, I mean, by all accounts, I think probably a significant amount better than anybody thought he was going to be. Like, consistent. It really has been one of those guys that you hear it so much it's nauseating, but like, getting better every weekend. He really is, like, he's done that all summer. He was kind of, to me, I think at the beginning, he was like more of a 6 to 9, 6 to 10 guy. And of late, he's been top 5 guy. Second place this weekend. Of course, he had the Jett penalty, the Chase crash, but who cares?
Yeah.
Like, it's about time RJ takes advantage of other people's mistakes.
That's right.
That it's time the tables have turned. And I think, it says a lot too about, like, he's also gotten smarter, because you can't just go out there on a 450 and just do the same thing you were doing on the 250 and it worked out. So this whole narrative that RJ is, like, not that smart on a dirt bike, to me, go ahead and throw that out the window. Because to do what he's done all summer, you got to be pretty locked in, know what you're doing all the way around. He's been fit, right up there. Always, I love his attitude on the podium. Even he doesn't look to me like he's super surprised to be there either.
No,
like, he's just It's just what he does. You watch him ride. He had that little mistake this weekend where he ran off the track, but you watch him ride, looks pretty repeatable. So I think we got to go ahead and wave goodbye to this narrative that RJ's out of control. JB, I think I've seen enough.
Yeah, I agree. I need to see a little more in Supercross.
Yeah.
We'll revisit
Fair,
this. But
fair.
in saying that, I am so impressed. I'm so impressed. I'm not impressed by his will to get it done. We know that. We know his drive, his desire, but I'm so impressed with his speed and the way he looks. Like his qualifying speed, it's unbelievable. He's qualified inside the top 3. I mean, this week I think he was the second qualifier to Jett, not that far off. I mean, he's faster than guys like Chase and Hunter and Eli and Jay Coop, who's an unbelievable guy in qualifying. And yeah, I'm just honestly would never expected this. I would say, yeah, 5 to 10, no problem. A lot of 5.5s or a lot of 6.5s and this and that. But to be up there battling, and then maybe the most impressive part is just what you said. He doesn't seem surprised. He's not like jumping up and down and thinking this is going to be his only 450 podium of his career in motocross. And like, he just looks like he belongs, acts like he belongs. And the one thing that I think this does a lot for is a guy like Jordan Smith, guy like Joe Shimoda, even Hayden Deegan. Hayden's looking at this and saying, shoot, I had RJ covered on the 250. Now, what am I going to do in the 450s? I'm going to beat him. So, you know what I mean? Like, and you've done this before. I've done this, is like, you're always sizing guys up. When you're looking to move up to the 450 class, you're looking at lap times. You're looking at, wait, okay, I battled that guy last year. Now he moved up. That's what he's doing. Okay, so now I should, like, you're always doing that, you know? So I like it for even teams that are looking to, because there's this big turnover coming. We see it coming.
Yeah.
We see it coming where there's a lot of these 450 guys are going to retire. So I think RJ has really put a spotlight on for really like what's to come potentially, and the potential of a guy like Jordan Smith, who was battling RJ a lot. A guy like Joe Shimoda, who's got maybe a year or two left in the 250 class. What Hayden could do in the 450 class, because there has been a lot of talk of just how deep the 450 class is, but there's guys that can move up that aren't like mega superstars like a Jett. Like RJ, I would say, of course, he was a Supercross champ, but it wasn't like we were waiting for this day and teams were knocking his door down to get him on a 450. He just earned the right to get a factory 450 ride, and obviously has done enough to do that. But he's overexceeded anyone's expectations in that class. And I think it's a bright spot for a lot of people and a lot of teams.
And with someone like RJ, I think with like just the way his kind of template for success, the way that he rides a dirt bike, that like to me, I didn't necessarily, for a really long time, I didn't see him as a guy that was gonna be a factory 450 guy. Mm-hmm. Like there are guys like that. There are guys that can challenge for titles in Supercross on a 250. Yeah. That are like pretty good outdoors, that they're really great racers making, 150, 200 grand. Like it's really difficult to do, but I just didn't quite see him as an elite enough guy to get one of those spots, get one of those factory spots at the 450 level, because it's hard, dude. It's hard. There's so many guys, and so many guys are good. Mm-hmm. And so what I think is so cool about RJ, you talk about somebody that's like focused on the process of things. I mean, think about how many injuries and setbacks and over the course of his career. I mean, even back to amateur days, I've said it on this podcast before, but growing up, he wasn't that good. Like I raced him on 50s. I remember seeing him around when I was really little, early 2000s. He was good. He was a Dade City kid, which that's down south from where I grew up in Florida. And yeah, like he was a Dade, like he was just like a Dade City warrior. It was like our little, like everybody knew that RJ was unbeatable at Dade City, but you never really saw him too much at amateur nationals. Like he didn't have this big name. And then all of a sudden it's like my last couple years as an amateur, he pops out of nowhere, starts doing really well, gets that Geico ride. And it's really been like, yes, it's been up and down for him, but to make the step that he did to get to this point, a factory 450 guy on the podium this weekend, he made his big improvement in like year 7, year 8. In those first 7 years were pretty much the same thing. Like guys that are year after year after year the same guy, like typically you're going to look at them and be like, okay, well, they're maxed out. Like with RJ, I saw somebody that was so scrappy, that wanted it so bad, that was so tough, that he willed himself to a factory 250 ride. And to me, I was already like impressed that he made it there. And so for him to, you know, he won that title in the 250 class in 2024. But he had to make a big step to get there. And he did. He went from being like this kind of, you know, podium here and there, a lot of highlights, a lot of crashes, some speed here and there, to being a guy that could win a title in the 250 class, that could show up, that win podium. And now he's here. And I don't ever remember seeing a Husqvarna 450 doing this good, like in pro motocross. I don't remember. I don't know if you do. I can't remember. So for the team, for him, the whole story all around to me is like, just like we were talking about with Hunter, like just locked in on yourself, not buying into any narratives about who you are or what you're going to be. Like RJ is just, it's a term, got it out the mud. RJ has got it out the mud, dude. And I'm happy for him. I mean, I think something, and with the playoffs too, I think that fits his riding style. I think he gets some open some eyes there as well. You're right though. I do need to see some consistency and him staying out of the tough blocks in Supercross for me to be like, okay, old RJ is completely behind us. But in general, you get the message, like RJ's that dude. Impressive.
Yeah. And as much credit as RJ deserves, I think equally the team. The whole Husqvarna team, Nathan Ramsey, the team manager over there, who I have so much respect for. Nate Dogg, I think he's one of the best guys in the paddock, not only just as a manager and a rider, but as a human being. And I think that element is really hard to come by as a manager, as a rider in a manager. And I think that's helped RJ a ton. But how about their belief in RJ? I mean, it would have been easy a couple of years ago. Say, man, this he crashes all over the place. He's injured all the time. Let's move on. Let's get somebody else. But they didn't. And they're both being rewarded for their hard work, dedication, the belief in each other. And I love how he's one of the best interviews in the sport because of his transparency. And he will give the team some harsh criticism when they deserve it, but he'll also praise them when they deserve it. And I like that. I think that's really, really cool. You're not guessing. As an analyst or even a fan of the sport, I'm not guessing how RJ feels.
No.
You know, so, and if as a team manager or anyone, crew chief over there, his mechanic, anyone, you're never really guessing. You get the truth out of RJ. And I think that's helped him get the most out of himself as well. And it still seems like he's not all the way comfortable. So I don't think we've seen his ceiling yet. And I'm excited for him for SMX, but just, man, getting your first 450 motocross podium, you've done it, I've done it. Like, it's just, there's something, it's just different, man. You're standing up there with different guys. Like, I'll never forget, just my podiums. Like, I actually went 3-4 one year for second overall as well. Got pretty lucky. But it was Redbud 2012. Dunge won, I got second, and Stu got third. And just standing up there, like, there's no feeling like it. He's standing up there with Eli Tomac, obviously getting Hunter's first win. Like, he'll never forget that moment. And it's special, but he's earned every bit of it.
It is special. Yeah. Mine was Loretta Lynn's, actually. COVID year.
Oh, yeah.
Second, Loretta's Mud Moto. Yeah, and there is something, too. It's like no matter how good you were on a 250, it's like you still kind of got to prove it to yourself a little bit that you can do. And I think as a 250 guy, you have so much respect for the top level 450 guys. Like that's the place that you're trying to go, and you get an idea of how hard it is to be up there. And the 250 class is like, you can just get away with a lot more mistakes. You can, like, it's just not it's just the things that work in the 250 class. They don't trend like you're not going to intimidate a guy in the 450 class. It's just little stuff sitting behind the guy, waiting for a mistake. Most of the time, mistakes never going to it's not going to come, dude. It's not going to come. They're just that good. So yeah, it's a special moment for sure because you're like, dude, this is the top level of the sport. You get no higher than this. Of course, I'm sure he would love to win one day, and I'm sure he will. But yeah, there's just this sense of like being up there with these guys that you've looked up to and that you've seen them do well for so long, and you're like, man, I can't believe I guess I'm one of these guys now.
One of these guys.
I guess I'm one of these guys.
Yeah,
it's a pretty eye-opening moment. Last thing that I had, JB, in a 450 class is we've been pretty tough on Prado, I think for good reason, just because how he's been talking about the team and whatnot, but much better weekend for Jorge. What did he get? Was he fourth in the second moto?
No, he went 5.6 on the day. He was going to go 5.5 for fourth overall, but J. Coop got him on the last lap. J. Coop went 4.5 for fourth overall. So still fifth overall, solid, nice quiet day, but right about where he should be, right? Even on a bad day, fifth overall. So yeah, great job, Jorge.
I saw it actually an awesome interview with Jeffrey Hurlings after the last GP, not this past weekend before. And Jeffrey, I know that he's like, I think he's pretty good friends with Jorge. So maybe he's a little biased, but I thought one of the things Jeffrey said was, and to be honest, I've never paid much attention to the MXGPs. Like I know those guys are unreal, and I have a lot of respect for them. I know they're good, and I watch some highlights and stuff here and there, but I've always had my hands full with what's going on here in the States. But it was interesting to me. Jeffrey said that he thinks that Prado is the biggest talent, like on a dirt bike, period, behind Jett Lawrence.
Really?
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. He also said that he thinks Jett would smoke anybody over in the MXGPs as well, which I thought for somebody, as legendary of a rider, legendary of a career that Jeffrey Hurlings has had, he's kind of got to that point in his career too, where he's willing to say things like that, which I think
that's cool.
Is cool when guys like that, he's kind of like similar to like a Tomac in Europe to me, kind of at the same point. I thought it was interesting to hear him say that about Jorge, because I don't know. I know that he did really well over there. I don't think I would go out on that leap and say that Prado's a bigger talent than somebody like a Sexton or a Hayden Deegan or somebody like that. But clearly he's seen enough of Jorge over there to believe in that much. And yeah, so better weekend for Jorge, good starts. And I think, like you said, even if the bike isn't what he wants or whatever, I think he's talented enough to where if he does his best, it's somewhere in the 5 to 7 range. Like anything outside of 7th or 8th to me is like he probably just was pouting or quit or something. He's just that good. Yeah. But one of the things I did see, another rumor on X here is, and I don't know if you've heard anything about this. I literally just saw it this morning. But apparently there's rumors that Jorge is trying to get out of his Cowie deal, and he's trying to go to KTM on like some bonus-only contract of some sort. So I don't know. Is that for him to race to KTM here or to go back there? Or what do you know?
Yeah, I think there's rumors of him potentially going back to KTM here. I don't know if it's just strictly a rumor or not, but I don't know if it was on this podcast or you and I talking, or I was talking to someone else, but when the Sexton to Cowie thing first started to be talked about months ago, right? There was rumors of it, and it's still a rumor. We don't know for sure. But I had mentioned to someone, I'm like, what if we were like the NFL and you could do a trade deal? And if Cowie and KTM could just do like, hey, you get upper management's talking, hey, here's what we paid him. Hey, here's what we're going to put an offer to Chase. Okay, we'll buy you out, whatever it is. And if it's agreed upon on, like in NFL, it's not even agreed upon on the players a lot of times. Like, oh, I'm going to Cincinnati. Really? Oh, okay. Well, you would want to agree, but like what if we did stuff like that? And who know? And honestly, maybe it's happening now. We don't know for sure. It's pure speculation. I've only heard rumors, but if it would make everybody happy, sure, why not? And he rode that bike incredible. He knows that bike. He has specifically said in some interviews that if he was on, I don't know if he's referring to his last year's bike, that he would be winning, because that's all we have to go off of, is that's the feeling that he's had in the past, and that's the feeling maybe he's searching for now. But I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be
I
great.
would
Not if he did that, but if there was some sort of trade deals that we had within our sport.
I would love to see Jorge come over here and succeed. And I don't quite know what success looks like, for like what his ceiling is and what we would call succeeding for him. But I would love to see him succeed, because I just think it took a lot of courage to leave Europe, where you're the guy, that you can win for another 5-7 years over there. He's going to be a contender every year. You don't have to deal. He's kind of already, like, he was at the top level there, knew the tracks, knew what he could do. He knew the template for success already. And I think to come over here at 23, 24 years old, I just think that move to me is such a bold move. And I've got a lot of respect for him. That I know we've talked about this originally when it happened, but I've just got a lot of respect for somebody that's like just willing to get so far outside of their comfort zone to leave a sure thing, to come over here and to try to get it done. So he has my respect, as much as I, haven't liked exactly the way he's handled things. Like, I do want to see him succeed. And if that's on a KTM, that's on a KTM. But in general, I love this part of the year for that reason. And we've talked about it a few times, like with the rumors to Tomac going to KTM, Sexton to Cowie, the Prado stuff, Deegan moving up, like all this stuff happening every once in a while, maybe every 4 or 5 years, we get a year like this where there's so much to talk about in the offseason. There's so much change going into the next year. So it's fun, JB. And I think it'll be a good talking point. Maybe we should just, I don't know. I've been talking about, we'll be doing pre-show, post-show, race day live at the playoffs coming up, which I'm very excited about. I'm thinking about just talking crazy, dude. Like just going full Stephen A. hot take ESPN journalism, just live on the pre-show. Yeah, just talking insane numbers. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I think go for it. I'll be the one like holding you back and bringing you down every now and again, but then letting you go a little bit, and then I'll bring you back down. So I think we'd make a good team. Yeah,
sweet.
I think we'd make a good team. But the last thing on Jorge, the only thing I want for him is it's to be at his best. Whatever that looks like, I think that's success. I look, in his mind, his success is winning championships. I don't know if that's achievable. Maybe it is when he's at his best, but I want to see him at his best, where he's comfortable on a motorcycle, comfortable on a team, where he can bring that out of himself. And I'm sure that's all he wants too. Yeah. To see where he's at. Because that's all we all want, is like, hey, I want to be able to bring my best stuff every Saturday. And it seems like he hasn't been able to do that. Plain and simple, whether it's the bike, the team, the format, the US, whatever it is, he hasn't been able to bring his best stuff. And I would love him to be, whether it's KTM or Cowie next year, to bring his best stuff. And let's see if he can go after Chase or Jett or Hunter. Like, let's see. That's all I want.
Yeah, maybe it's just a characteristics thing. Because I'm telling you, man, like, I know I'm still a Kawasaki ambassador. But I just don't. I mean, there's always little things. Like, there was, the last couple of years, we were just really trying to get the bike to pitch less coming into the turns. It was moving a lot during Supercross, and it kind of affected the middle of my corner a fair bit. That was kind of a natural characteristic of the motorcycle that was holding me back in some way. But I really, especially outdoors, like, everybody knows how stable the Kawasaki is. And if that's where Chase is going, I think that's why you and I are so excited to see Chase on a green bike, because I think the natural characteristics of the motorcycle are going to suit what Chase does really well. But I don't really see like this massive downfall in the motorcycle. I don't see it. But with that being said, you can't deny past results.
Yeah.
Jorge's been unreal, and it's clear. Yeah, it's clear he's not his best right now. So I'm with you. I want to see him
Yeah.
at his best. I would
Yeah.
prefer that to be on a Cowie, but whatever he's got to do, I think it's a great. I think he's a great addition to our series too.
For sure.
Bringing new fans over. I think it could do a lot of good for the sport to see him do well over here. And also to kind of set the precedent that you can come over here later in your career if you want, because right now, before Jorge, you would win like a, Ken Roxon, you win an MX2 title, Tyler Rattray, Tommy Searle, you win an MX2 title, then you come over here. You can't do it late in your career. So if he blazes this new path, I think it could open up a lot of options for guys in the GPs to come over here later in the career if they wanted to.
The interesting thing, the bike to me, the Cowie looks big for Jorge, and the KTM looks small for Chase.
The KTM does look small for Chase, but I think if Chase was riding a John Deere lawnmower out there, it would look small underneath him too.
He's riding a Harley Fat Boy. It still looks small.
Yeah. I never thought I would see somebody. I never thought I would see somebody besides Eli Tomac look like they could just break the bars in half at any moment. But we've reached that level with Chase now, where it's just like I'm scared he's gonna like rip the grip off the thing on accident. Okay. 450s. You got anything left on 450s?
I'm good on 450s.
I mean, 250s, dude, has been kind of like
there's not much there, huh?
It's been kind of boring. It kind of reaches the same, like it's pretty much the same thing every time. Deegan gets a bad start, gets the lead like 20, 25 minutes in, wins by 8 seconds. Or if he gets the whole shot, he gets to about 8 or 9 seconds, kind of holds it there. I mean, he's been as advertised. Hayden was great, as always. There's the talk of him, signing that 450 deal, which is cool.
Super cool, yeah.
And then I think so next year when he does go to a 450, because he is going to be wearing Fox gear. He's got a Fox, big old, huge money Fox gear deal. So he's going to be pitting under the 450 Star Yamaha truck, even during Supercross on the 250.
Yep.
So that's kind of unique in a way. But yeah, as advertised, normal Hayden Deegan. Back 1-1. Joe, I thought Joe put up a great fight in the first moto. He was ripping out front, and once Hayden got into second, there was a minute there where Joe was holding it like 5, 6, 7 seconds right there, and then it seemed like kind of all came unraveled at one time. Joe wasn't on camera, but I imagine he ran into a lapper, made some mistakes or something. But once Hayden was right there, dude, it's hard. Once Hayden gets close enough like that, if he gets you within 2 or 3 seconds, it seems like even if Joe's got his absolute best, even whoever's in front of him's got his absolute best, like Hayden's just got that it factor where he can just track you down and make quick work.
Yeah, he's good, man. We've said it multiple times, but Hayden is so good, and it's like it's a little bit of rinse and repeat right now. Like he's ready. We're ready. The fans are ready. Let's see him on a 450. Talked to some people close to the team when he was riding the 450. Sounds like he was absolutely ripping, which isn't surprising to anybody.
Shocker, yeah.
But I can't wait to see it, man. It's going to be so fun to watch. The biggest thing I think this does for everybody, including Joe Shimoda, is 2026 is the year of Joe.
It's got to be. If it's ever going to be, it's got to be.
Right? Yeah. I mean, he's right now, he's so much better than everyone. Look, we're not getting the best version of Levi Kitchen, or Chance Hymas is out. If you think about Supercross, a guy like Anstey's out, so going into 26, you got to factor those guys in for sure. But man, he's so good. He's gelling with the bike. And as long as he stays there next year and they can continue to build on this, dude, I think he's the title favorite indoor and out next year. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think he's got to be. I think he's got to be, right? But this is where we were, too. Remember how good he was at the end of 2023? Yeah.
We have been here before.
Coming into 24, dude, we were like, Joe's about to take over the world.
Yeah, we've been here
But,
before.
Of course, kind of that coincided with Hayden's rise as well. Yeah. But, yeah, I think Joe has been the guy. He's always been – you even heard I thought it was almost like a low-key little shot at Joe on the podium in the first moto where like Hayden was like, well, Joe's going to be good at the end of outdoors. He always is. Like, and yeah, I thought that was all in good fun. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I mean, Joe's been the closest guy. I don't know what's going on with Levi Kitchen, because to me, in terms of talent and like what he's able to do on a motorcycle, I think he's right there with Joe of like what he can do. I think when we've seen Levi at his best, I think you would, so far in his career, you would say that he's a little bit better in Supercross than he is outdoors. But going into next year, in talking about the SMX World Championship, the whole thing, I would think, like, talent wise, to me, it's Levi and Joe. Chance is unbelievable outdoors, but I have not seen it in Supercross yet for him. So the door is going to be wide open. Maybe somebody will walk through it. We don't even know. Sometimes that happens. And in times like this, where you think the writing's on the wall, and somebody like a Joe that's doing so well right now is going to go out there and take over the world. Sometimes it'll just be a random dude. Could be somebody like, I don't know. Imagine how cool it would be if Garrett Marchbanks just came out next year, figured out how to get a whole shot and just dominated. Like, that could happen.
Or
it could happen.
Like Julian? Julian's your 250 West division champion, and then he somehow gets some confidence for outdoors. Like, it does. It happens all the time. So there's always someone that steps up. And it's interesting. The off season is not very long for us, but a lot of things can change in 3 months. They really can. So,
big time.
Yeah. But I would say if you're Honda and Joe Shimoda, you're expecting some titles next year. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it. I wonder what that deal is. What do you think? I think you just re-up with Honda, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's done, but there's definitely talks there. I feel like it will end up happening, but I don't know. What's a top level
500
deal? 500 right now? That one's interesting though, because I feel like Honda could get away with paying a little less salary and saying, hey, you have your helmet and gear.
Mm-hmm.
So I think all in, those deals are probably 500-ish. I mean, that's what your deal was, right? Right around 500. You're a title guy.
Yeah.
So
something like that.
Could Honda structure it a little bit different? And
I wish it was more. I was listening to a little tangent side note here. I was listening to Jeff Emick on Gypsy Tales, and I was pretty surprised with how much money those guys were making in the 90s.
Really?
Like, I didn't think it was like that. And I don't know. I guess I'm just young, but they were making some serious money. Really? I mean, I knew that around, McGrath times, early 2000s, kind of before 08 happened, I know there was huge money there, but I didn't know those guys were making so much back in the 90s, dude. That's cool. I would like to see that. Like, I feel like we're getting to a point now where there's like enough eyeballs on the sport. There's enough growth where I would think the money would start to kind of ramp up more so. But who knows? Okay, done with that tangent. But what, you got anything?
Well, I was just going to add, like, the hard part is, we talk about the sport growing and such. I mean, we could, once again, a whole nother podcast on this, but they were selling out Angel Stadium then just like they are now. There's not more seats.
Yeah, that's true.
Bike sales. Like, the hard part is our sport is our sport. And of course, inflation and all these things where they should be getting paid much more now. But like, dude, we're just not the NFL. Like, people can't compare it to that. We're not, you know what I mean? So I feel like,
I don't even know if we want to be that.
What's that?
I don't even know if we want to be that.
No, we don't want to be. Like, I feel like our sport's it's in a really amazing spot with the athletes we have, with the TV coverage we have continuing to grow. I think we're in a good spot. I feel like, there's a lot of rumors and speculation about Jett's new deal. Hopefully that'll be announced soon. That'll be
money.
That's really cool for the sport. Money. And long term, I love to see a manufacturer believe in a rider and a rider believe in a manufacturer. I love that.
Me too.
I think we're on a good path.
Hey, one thing. Well, first, I want to give a shout out to Drew Adams. Best result of the year so far, P5. I've watched Drew ride for a long time. To me, his biggest detriment is somehow he went from 5'8" to like 6'4", 200 pounds overnight. So that's tough. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
just
tough.
you got to be really, really good to overcome the weight disadvantage there on a 250. But still, such a young kid, 17. Like he's got. I think he's got a chance to be really special in the class. So I just want to give him a shout out. It was a great ride, P5. Other thing I saw today, we were talking about it before we got on the show. Hayden Deegan, he posted about his new house build, like the little 3D print.
Barn dominium.
Dude,
Yeah.
I know that guy. I know that guy is making a lot of money. Like everybody, he's unreal, and he's going to be. He's going to have a. I've talked about it a million times. He's going to be great for a very long time. He's going to make so much money. But my dog is spending some cash right now, dude.
He
Like
is spending
flying
some
private
loot for
every
sure.
weekend. We have not seen a guy in the 250 class fly private. I can tell you, Carmichael, Chad Reed, those James Stewart, those guys that maybe James at one time in the 125 class
I
was
don't
flying
know.
private, maybe. But dude, I know he's making a lot. But maybe he just doesn't want Uncle Sam to get after him because he is spending that cash, dude. It's good for him though, dude. Like that house that he's building, it's like I don't know. It's like your fantasy when you're growing
Totally.
up. Like he's living it, which I think, like, I really do. I'm not trying to hate on him by saying he's spending a bunch of money. Like I think it's awesome that he is able to do this from racing. You know, like that people can make that connection. This guy races a dirt bike and he has this. I think that does nothing but good things for the sport. But
Yeah.
he's going to need to keep winning because the money's going out, JB. I mean, he kind of reminds me of you a little bit.
Please, come on. Yeah, right. Yeah, that I did see what he posted today, and that thing is,
Dude, sick.
oh my goodness. For all you, go to Hayden's Instagram and check out his post of his barn dominium. If that's real and he's truly building that, that is sick.
It wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me if he was like making money off of like TikTok and stuff,
Oh, he's for sure
Dude.
making, yeah,
right?
yeah, for
He's
sure.
really got the social media thing down. I used to think that I had it figured out back in the day, but I didn't because he's got it figured out too. I don't know if he's the guy that's like posts, but everything, captions, timing, store, like merch. It's just the whole deal is just set up in a way that, yeah, I mean, he's going to be making money hand over fist for a while.
Yeah, and I think Brian is smart enough, right? The family's
Yeah.
smart enough to, like, if he wants another Lambo, they would pull him back if he couldn't afford it, or if he, building it. Like, they're smart. Brian's super smart with his money. He's made a bunch over the years, continues to make a bunch off investments. He's a really, really smart guy away from the track as well. So, yeah, what do you think the 450 deal's worth if you're signing Hayden?
Well, I mean, I think I don't know what it should be or what I think it is. I don't know. I mean, I think just base salary straight up from the team. I think anything under 1.5 is too low.
Yeah.
I think so. We'll put it 1.5 to 2 from just straight up salary from the team. I think another $1 million for gear. I think Fox is probably at $1 million.
Yep.
I think Monster is probably 500, somewhere in there, maybe 750, depending on how much he's willing to do off the bike. And then I don't know. I imagine he has some sort, like, I imagine he has outside sponsorship, especially as he gets on a 450. Like, he's going to be the guy that is like sponsored by 7-Eleven or something, right?
So he's 4 or 5 plus before he lines up.
Should be.
You think? Yeah.
Should be. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think he's probably somewhere around 4 all in.
Yeah.
You like that number?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like you and I, like at the height of our careers,
Yeah,
we're about
especially
4
me
or
riding
5,
amateur.
6.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, totally. I've seen your backyard.
$4 to $5.
I've seen your backyard.
Get out of here.
Oh,
Get out of
man.
here. I
Good
can't wait for it, though.
Yeah.
I can't wait for next summer. It's going to be a battle. A lot of smack talk. And
how's your suit game for Charlotte?
I haven't picked one out yet. We got to get together on that.
Yeah. I just took all my stuff's already ready, dude.
What color are you on?
Cleaned and pressed. No, it's going to be a surprise. Don't worry about it.
We got to coordinate a little bit.
Nah, I don't know, dude. You left. Remember, we tell the story again, but remember Charlotte last year, dude.
It's gonna be way
I'm
better
pretty
than that.
positive that you just wanted me to look like a clown on stage.
Please.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to sabotage you. We are going to play golf the week before, though. I think I'm flying in on Tuesday.
Yep.
I need to get my travel booked.
We may not be on talking terms when we go live for Race Day Live on Saturday. So if you folks are tuning in, make sure you do to Peacock Race Day Live Saturday, round 1 of SMX. If there's a little tension in the air, just know that it's not from my side. It's probably me shooting better than my co-host Adam, and he's not happy with me. So if there's a little tension in the air, just know that's what it is.
I think if you beat me on Wednesday, you're probably going to be doing the show by yourself, because I'm going to just go home. Call it a life. Call it a day.
Oh, God.
Good times, JB.
Yep.
Great show, as always, my friend. No guest this week, folks. Sorry about that, but I just wanted a little one-on-one time with you,
There you go.
Justin. I feel like, it's just been a while since we really connected, so I'm happy to be back in the saddle, man. I really feel good about doing the show on a Monday, even though I've been living, I can't even tell you how grateful I am for my day to day right now. It's been incredible, but doing at least some work on a Monday really propels me to enjoy the rest of my week. So I don't know if you feel the same, but I'm happy we're back.
Absolutely. Good show. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
We got deep at the beginning. We changed some rules around in the rule book.
Yep.
That was fun.
I feel like we were fair. But as always, folks, thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us a platform to talk dirt bikes. We love it. You love it. It's only up from here, JB. Thank you, sir.
On to Unadilla. Have a good week, y'all.